Documentation of Ososo language and Ovbiko Maiden initiation rites. This is a short video presentation. It is aimed at giving a 15 minutes walkthrough of the archived materials related to the documentation of Ososo language and Ovbiko Maiden initiation rite, a project funded by the Endangered Languages Development Program, ELDP, and collections deposited with Endangered Languages Archive. The link to the collection is available on the screen. Ososo is a very beautiful place. It's bordered by massive rocks, a lot of which are actually source of tourist attraction. This on the screen is one of such rock. This is the Oruko rock, reported to be the highest rock height in Edo State. We have splatters of other adjacent the Oruko rock. This is one of them, a very fine scenic view. And then there is still another also bordering also the rock. Basically, the town is a tourist delight, but not so with the language. Ososo is a West Benue Congo language spoken by a little above 100,000 individuals in Akoko Edo local government area, Edo State, here in Nigeria. By current statistics provided by Ethnologue, 100,000 is rated as vibrant. And indeed, this figure suggests a robust speaker base. But in reality, the language is undergoing rapid social and linguistic erosion, with languages like Nigerian Pidgin and English increasingly pressuring Ososo, particularly among the younger generation, and Ososos based in diaspora returning or still out in diaspora away from the home, from their motherland. Now, transgenerational transmission is also decreasing, and at an alarming rate. Youth now take pride in their ability to speak English better than Ososo, their mother tongue, and their parents are actually spurring them on, assuming they now have a chance to make their children better their lot, however that is viewed by them. There is also a greatly reduced domain of use of the language. Wherever possible, they resort to the use of English, and there is general community apathy. Pedagogic materials are virtually non-existent, and there is lack of standardized orthography. The language is written in different ways by different persons, and in this digital space that we operate in, there is no digital presence of Ososo language, a very worrisome reality, and institutional support virtually non-existent. This has left Ososo underrepresented in both academic and community sphere. Everywhere one turns in the village now, half the time indigenes are likely speaking Nigeria Pidgin, Yoruba, which is also their second language, or other languages depending on their ability and to use the language. So prior to this documentation project funded by the ELDP, no major linguistic attention had been paid to language or to Ososo language. No archived documentation, no comprehensive grammatical description, no dictionary, no pedagogic materials, as said earlier. So this documentation project funded by ELDP made accessible through ELA, one of Delaman archives, represents the first large-scale multimedia documentation of Ososo language. The corpus provides a foundation for descriptive work, including phonology, morphology, syntactic analysis, sociolinguistics, ethnolinguistics, all kind of studies. Data is now very much available. Now, this corpus archived with Ella comprises approximately 46 hours and 11 minutes of richly layered audiovisual data systematically organized into 398 recording sessions. The genre include historical and procedural narrative. It includes rituals, oratories, interviews, FGD, KII, and others. These are the different genres in the collection. Now, the table before us is a spread out of the language data in the collection. Quickly, I rewind. We have 46 hours and 11 minutes. Sessions annotated. Of the 398 sessions are 130 sessions. These annotations cover transcription and translation. Time aligned, we did this with using ELAN, and we translated Ososo speech token to English. We also have ongoing glossed Ososo to English dictionary covering 5 hours and 10 minutes of data. We have over 700 beautiful pictures linked to the session and the culture we documented for ELDP with the ELDP's assistance. Now, despite the fact that we have 46 hours collection, largely unrestricted, open access, a small subset of the materials currently remains restricted, and this is due to the presence of nudity associated with the Ovbiko traditional rite of maiden initiation. Now, we went ahead to blur the body parts using Da Vinci Resolve, guided by the ethics of fieldwork. The restriction that makes this subset publicly inaccessible through the archives interface had to be placed to protect the maiden's dignity, to protect their privacy, not dignity, pardon, to protect their privacy and to comply with online restrictions. I repeat that it is not to protect their dignity, because in their nudity, they felt dignified. The culture, as a matter of fact, celebrates the purity retained by these girls, made visible by the nudity at play. So it has the being nude is not a factor, and on the contrary, it is a celebration of their dignity. Having said that, I return back to the restriction placed on the collection. We actually found it very important to ensure and prevent a potential possibility of misrepresentation or misuse of this culturally intimate visual content, and ensure that the trust given to us by this maiden is protected by all means from probably people who will misrepresent the nudity in the culture. However, access can be granted by the maidens, their families, and the PI following a clear statement of research purpose and or an agreement on ethical use and non-distribution of these materials. They are strictly for research purposes and related purposes. Now, the project team, the nominee, Agnes Legbeti, is the head. She headed the team as the principal investigator, supported by 6 research assistants and 6 language assistants. Largely, she is solely responsible for archiving the collection, and at this point, one would like to thank the ILA and ELDP team for their patience while learning the handle of archiving materials for gotten from the field. This project provides a rich corpus for academic scholarship, and my own has benefited tremendously from the corpus online. It also contributes to a long-term preservation and revitalization of Ososo language. Now, the orthography consistently used in the transcription of the data in the collection, aimed at balancing phonological accuracy with community acceptability. This was very important to ensure linguistics transparency. Now, the community, at the point the team met with them, had proposed an orthography which is showing on the screen at the moment. We had a robust discussion on refinement. However, for the documentation, the orthography used is as proposed in Legbeti 2024, with 7 characters proposed for the vowels and 30 for the consonants. As a tonal language, the proposed orthography also marked high and low tone, and nasalized vowels are indicated. However, through ongoing literacy workshop and comparative linguistics analysis, further refinement of the writing system is underway, as both linguists are actively engaged in the community's literacy initiative. I continue to contribute to the eventual emergence of a standardized orthography. Now, the collection has a flex-based dictionary developed with 5 hours and 10 minutes of glossed lexical entries. At the moment, we do not have a sketch or full grammar of Ososo included in the collection, as this was not part of the deliverables promised, but a grammar is planned as a next phase deliverable subject to the availability of funding for that venture. The Ososo language documentation and Ovbiko Maiden initiation rite, archived with Ella, contains several culturally and linguistically rich sessions. However, we have picked 5 standout items that offer unique insight into the language, the culture, and the cosmology of the Ososo people. The first among the gems standout sessions is the interview with the 2 beautiful maidens undergoing the initiation rite. The maidens affirm the significance of the culture regardless of the nudity involved. That session is a very interesting one. We also had interview with 3 elderly women on the maiden initiation rite. This recording opens our eyes to the symbol and social significance of the maiden initiation rite. Their narrative offers rare access to gendered knowledge system, ceremonial languages, and intergenerational transmission of a language. We also met with the youth of the community and they shared their concerns over the endangered state of their language in a candid interview. This also opened our eyes to the declining use of the heritage language Ososo. Lastly, we have an interview with community heads, and with what we discover is that gradually there is a reawakening or an awareness, an intense drive, gradually channeled at preserving and promoting the language. Several initiatives have been undertaken by the leaders of the community. They even have a cultural center serving as a hub for initiatives that promote the language. So I want to thank you for listening to this my short presentation. I remain grateful for donors who are fueling our efforts in countless ways and helping to sustain our heritage, as every support makes a difference in the preservation and conservation of endangered languages. Interestingly and thankfully, now Ososo language is available to the world, open access. Thank you for listening.